journalist, founder of LA Mom Magazine, a mother of four herself, and host of the long-running podcast Moms Matter, which is filmed right here at Studio Place. Shirin Yadegar, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I know it was not announced at all. It was very random, but I love it. This is how things happen, meant to be. First of all, I want to ask you, do you think life is a journey and not a destination? Do you believe in that?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe that.
Yeah.
It's all about the journey.
Yeah.
It's all about the journey.
Do you think you have a purpose in your life? Like, do you think that you were put on this earth for a reason and you're meant to do something?
100%. I think we all have a gift, and our purpose is to shine that gift and share that gift with the world. So my gift is to amplify other people's voices. I think I was put on this earth to bring people together, to connect people, and then to help rise their vibration and amplify who they are and bring them to fruition.
Was there a certain specific time where in your journey, that you came to this point where you're like, I think this is my purpose, this is what I'm meant to do here in this lifetime?
Yeah, I think I was in college and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? I didn't know. And I started discovering, and I thought, you know what? I want to be a journalist. I want to go in and I want to start talking to people, be the voice of the voiceless. And I really want to amplify people. And then fast forward, I had 4 children and life paused, and I started to then create my own magazine and my own show. And I realized that when I gave people a platform to speak, it was like, wow, you're igniting so much in people and you're inspiring so many people to live a better life. So I truly do believe I'm living my purpose.
I mean, I can even speak for myself. Like I knew what I wanted to do always, but I didn't know why. When I was younger, people would ask me, why do you want to do that? And I didn't really have an answer. And it took a while for me to realize, oh my God, this is why I want to tell inspiring stories. I want to shine light on heroes, female heroes from all around the world, especially the Middle East, who don't get the recognition at all in this country or in North America or even in Europe or whatnot. So to me, it took a while for me to figure out why I was so drawn to telling stories and why I wanted to play certain characters a lot more than the others. In my logo here, basically like the letter H, I sort of made it into a ladder. And I don't really like the word obstacle per se, so I always say stepping stones, basically. How do you think you cope with when you're faced with unexpected challenges? Like, how do you think you handle things that just, life throws at you?
Wow, life throws at you. I mean, honestly, having 4 kids and dealing with having to care for other people other than yourself, and knowing that if you don't do it selflessly because of yourself, you do it for them, made me really realize that I can't be reactive. And so when crazy curveballs happen, we can't be reactive. And so I learned through my children. That was my learning. That was my landscape, was that I don't want them to see me lose control, and I don't want them to see me be reactive. So I learned that every time I had a challenge, I pause. Because if you pause and you breathe through that challenge, if you take a moment to really pause and breathe through it, you realize that all is okay. You're going to get your shit together. You're going to figure it out, and you're going to move forward. And so for me, that was a huge moment. And just taking that moment to pause and breathe makes you realize that everything's okay. You look at it in a very different way than running through whatever that is that you're dealing. We all have challenges. We all deal with so much in life.
Yeah.
But if we can pause and breathe, I think it really helps you get through it.
Do you remember the moment when you stopped being reactive? Because obviously we're not all like that. We evolve, right? Like I feel like at some point I couldn't control. And then for me personally, it was meditation really helped, because I started sort of seeing myself from the outside. And as I was going crazy, and I was like, okay, Shiva, this is not going to help anything. So take a pause. So was there a point in your life where you felt like this is not helping and I need to change my pattern?
Yes, for sure. It was after I had my first child. Like everything changed for me. And she must have been about 2.5 years old. She was a toddler. And if anyone knows, with toddlers, they're insane and there's so much. And you just want to sometimes strangle them because you can't handle. And you realize that oh my God. And there was a moment where I had that with my daughter, and I was like, no, I need to pause and I need to breathe. And then through my Mom's Matters show, I started to bring in a lot of experts, and I learned so much on that journey through the experts that came in about what it meant to really pause, what it meant to have stillness, what it meant to not be reactive. And I just really went on that journey and learning to improve myself, to teach that to my daughters so that they could not, so that they could learn at a younger age. If we could only teach that, to young children so that they can grow up and not have the challenges that we've had, you change the world, really, essentially.
Yeah. And not be as reactive. So, I mean, it's hard because sometimes if you pause, then your brain gets in the picture and then you sort of know how to respond. But sometimes when you're too emotional or, like I'm an artist, so like I literally lead with the heart, right?
Yes,
so it's like, it's so hard to try to control that. But then as soon as you take a deep breath and then it's like, okay, then I don't have to respond that way. Having said that, also, I think it leads to looking at challenges as stepping stones, right? Because it's easier to manage them and just go up the ladder, basically. No matter what storm, life hits you with that can throw you off balance, how do you bring yourself back every time? Because we know we go through a lot of those storms in our lives.
Yeah, we do. I mean, you just said it. You said it's gratitude. That's what it is. I have every morning when I wake up, I open my eyes. Before I do anything, I don't touch my phone. Like that to me is the devil in the morning. So I've learned to not touch my phone. And I do a prayer where I just thank God for everything. So I literally open my eyes every morning and I say, thank you, God, for my body. Thank you that I can see another day, that I can smell, that I can touch, that I can feel, that I can use my legs to get myself out of this bed so I can touch the floor with my feet.
Yeah.
And I do this every morning, and I swear to you, it has changed my life drastically. Because no matter what comes at you, when you have that deep gratitude that you really feel in your gut, and you know that you are so blessed to be on this earth, whatever hits you, hits you. You have another day on this earth.
Yeah.
And everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Who is Shirin Yadigar?
Who am I? Wow.
The magic question.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a couple hours now? Who am I? I am truly just a human being. I believe that we're all created equally in the face of God. And I think we're all just here to do good. We're all here to bring unity. I think my mission on this earth, who I am, I never thought in a million years that I would have 4 daughters. It has taught me so much in my life. 4 girls. It has taught me to be empathetic and compassionate and to be grounded and to just be a good human being, because everything I do, they watch. So if not for the sake of myself, they're watching me. They're going to emulate it. They're going to do it. So I really just, at the end of the day, who am I? I'm just a good human being trying to make this world better. Really, that's who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And that's what I mean, like your soul, right? Because a lot of times, sometimes you ask people and they just give you their education and their work. And it's like, but who is you? You know, like, let's go deeper.
That's right.
Like you can sense someone's energy and someone's soul, literally. And I love looking into that.
Yes.
That's what connects me to that person. And sometimes you can't, without mentioning, you can feel the energy of another person.
That's so true.
And even if, I feel like a lot of times there's been times where people have these masks and they don't mean to, but they're so lost in their titles or accomplishments and positions, like CEO, this, right, or that. And I love the way you just answered it, because it's kind of like at the end of the day, what's in there, and it just goes way beyond who we are.
It is. I mean, I think our bodies are just vessels, really, at the end of the day, right? We're carrying this beautiful soul that we're here to nurture. That's what we're here to do. Yeah. And all of those accolades are just accolades.
Yeah,
they really are.
Yeah,
they don't make us who we are.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. I think if you truly, truly in your heart space are grounded in your gratitude, if you start every single day in that gratitude, I think the world opens up and shines light and gives you different paths and different avenues in a way that we could never imagine.
Yeah.
Because we're just so real and authentic in who we are. And I think if we're blocked, everything's going to be blocked for us.
Yeah.
Things won't open up.
Yeah. What does thriving mean to you personally?
Thriving to me is when there's peace at home. So that means, like, my husband is my number one for everything. He is my soulmate. He's my everything. If him and I are not aligned, I'm not thriving, right? If my girls are not in a good place, I'm not thriving. Like, everything else comes secondary to that. So that to me is when I'm thriving, is when I'm coming home and everything is peaceful.
Wow. So would you say family and the relationships with your partner and your kids are like the main priority?
1,000%. Because I think that's your pillar. Once that's set, then your friendships are going to thrive because you feel good about yourself. You're anchored and you're grounded. So your friendships are great. Work is going to, completely take off and go because you're so grounded. But if at home things are broken, your relationship is broken, if your relationship with your family is broken, how can you thrive in other facets of your life? I think it's impossible if you're not grounded in that.
If there's no peace at home.
There has to be peace at home.
But what if, for those who say there could be peace at home and you can have amazing partner, amazing kids, but internally you're not at peace,
And how can it be amazing if you're not at peace internally?
with yourself?
It can't, right? You have to first obviously nurture yourself because you can't give to a partner or to children or to anyone else. So that has to be right there. But if that's good, everything else will open for you, right? It's all energy, like you said. The world opens when the energy is right. Everything just, you're elevating.
Do you have sort of like what are your guiding principles in life?
I mean, my value system is very strong. I have a lot of integrity and respect. Like my values are very grounded. So if that's what guides me, really, that's what it is. It's just the value system I was raised with. Be kind to everybody, be kind to your neighbor, have respect for everyone. And if you're just simple in those things, I don't think it's that difficult. I think we make it a lot harder than it is. Yeah. And I always believed surround yourself with friends who believe that. Raise your family like that. Be in spaces with your coworkers like that. And everyone's elevation raise. If you have the same value system, I mean, we see it now all over the world. What's happening on college campuses? It's because they're morally bankrupt, right? There's no value system. If they were anchored in something, nobody would be doing this. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Why would you have any hate towards anyone in the world?
Yeah.
If you had a strong moral compass, right? Yeah. So I think it's really just that simple.
I always say, I feel like right now we really lack empathy. I'm a huge empath, but also I want to say because of what I do has only helped and made me more empathetic because I have to walk in so many different characters' shoes and try to understand, even if the Shiva doesn't agree with that character's choices. I have to be empathetic enough to try to understand based on their journey, why are they making such choices, such decisions that I may have personally not agree with. So I feel like understanding someone else and their perspective, considering their upbringing,
I love that,
is really key to have more empathy and try to understand and not have so much warfare and hate and
100%.
So I feel like that's one main thing for me. But what else? What do you think we're lacking right now? Like, what else do you think the world needs more than ever right now?
Well, I think what you just said is absolutely right. When you have empathy, then you can have civil discourse. And if you can have discourse with people who disagree with you, let's agree to disagree. We don't have to agree at all. You can love Trump and I can love Biden. It doesn't matter. Let's break bread and let's talk because we're all the same.
Yeah.
I just think that we have more in common than not. And if only we can have civil discourse, I think it'll change the world. I think that's the biggest problem we're having today.
And it's all human connection. And and sometimes, I mean, don't you feel like sometimes I'm like, life is so short. It's so short. Like I've lost so many people over the years, and just this year, like, a dear colleague of mine, and sometimes I'm like, what's the point?
That's the point.
You have such a short period on this earth, and why not just enjoy it and just live peacefully and be understanding of others and agree to disagree, but you do you, I do me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It takes more effort and energy to be angry towards someone than it does to love someone.
Yeah.
So why can't we just open up our heart space? I mean, it's really that simple. I think we just make it a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
But again, if we go back to our integrity and to be morally grounded, then we won't sway, right? Then we'll be able to have conversations. We'll be able to sit and talk together.
Yeah.
It won't matter.
How do you think we can get there? Do you think like education system has something to do with it? Obviously, there's a big, like I saw a video of this, how they were learning outside how to do perfect blockage basically for people. So it's like, why aren't you in class having a debate about it instead, right?
Yeah. And why are we even teaching them how to make a human chain to block people? We shouldn't be blocking people. We should be opening the circle to let people in.
Right.
But I think it starts at home again. I think it all goes back to the home. So I think if parents take ownership to teach their children, then when their children go out into the world, then that professor or that teacher cannot dissuade them to completely be depleted of their moral integrity, right?
Yeah.
So it starts with the home. And like, if unfortunately some people don't have that, right? You don't get those parents who are going to be loving and teach you that. And so when you go to school,
They do the opposite sometimes. if anything.
that's a big problem. And then when you go to school, you're very easily brainwashed and taken into whatever and everybody wants a sense of belonging, right? So when you go in and you don't have that moral clarity and you don't feel anchored, then you're going to go in and you're going to fall into that because you want so badly to belong to something. So I really think it starts at home. I think it's all about the parents teaching it. That's why, isn't that why you are who you are today?
Yeah, you're totally right. Because my mom is my biggest role model, actually.
Yeah.
She's my world. She's my anchor. I've looked up to her. She's my hero. And I've seen how strong she is, and yet she's so full of kindness and love. She's so hardworking and resilient. And I got thicker skin because of what I saw my mom went through. So you're totally right. I don't have kids of my own, so I don't have that example, but I can definitely say as a daughter that I'm so proud of my mom to this day. And sometimes when I feel like I'm going to fall apart and I talk to her and I'm like, how did you do it? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's for a whole other conversation
That's
of
another
what
podcast.
she went through. Yes. But going back to what you said, how it starts at home and you feel like you're thriving when there's peace at home and when you have good relationships. It's really important to remember that. And I did think of that sometimes when I would, again, see these videos and I'm like, I wonder these students, what happens at the house? Like, what do the parents tell them?
Right.
Like, what are you know, oh, good for you, do that, or no, you shouldn't be doing that. Maybe, you know, giving advice. Maybe you should be having a debate. Why don't you talk? Why don't you communicate? You know.
That's right.
So I think that has a huge influence. And I guess after that, I think the school system and the education system is secondary to what goes on at home, because the main influence, and I can speak for myself, is from what I was brought up as, what I saw as my role model. And
Right. You had a strong role model. So whatever happened at school would never have brainwashed you to believe, you know, anything other than what you knew to be true, because that was your truth at home with your mom. And she was
if
your
you
role
have
model.
a strong role model.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I mean, we can have a whole podcast on the school systems and what needs to be changed, and a lot does need to be changed. But it all starts at home.
Yeah. This was overall just a life perspective in a way, you know, how to see it as a journey and how to face challenges. And you're clearly on the perfect path, and I love it. And how to be resilient towards all these, and how to lead with love and compassion and empathy. So
That's right. That's right.
thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
Thank you so much for doing this.
It was meant to be.
Sheen Yadegar. I like to say it Yadegar.
That's right. You got it right. Thank you for not butchering my name. And thank you for the beautiful conversation.